Hello and welcome to part 6 of the Drz400sm build. In this video, I'll be going on to polish the triple as well as the kickstarter and doing a brushed finish on the rear brake lever. From there, I may install the triple tree and the front forks. I'll be doing the polishing off camera as it's a very time-consuming process. I will kind of explain it right now of the process I'll be doing. So with the cast items, I'll be taking these cast marks and using the files here to file those down, with larger ones to get off more material, and then finer ones to kind of smooth it in. From there, I'll be starting with 400 grit, moving to 6, 8, 1000, 1500, and then this is 2000 right here, even though it's ripped off. That'll get me to a point with the cast marks gone and it sanded down where I can use some Mother's mag and aluminum polish, and this will bring a mirror shine like I had previously on the last bike. For the rear brake in specific, I'll be using 400 and then 600 grit, and then using an emery pad. This will get kind of a brushed look or a brushed finish on the rear brake lever. The reason I'm not going to file it is because the cast marks are in such a place where you can't really notice them from the side, so it's not worth my time to try to get those off. For the rear brake, I will be using used sandpaper. That's because there's nothing wrong with it yet. It's just a little worn out, and it'll still do what I need it to do. With the brake lever now sanded to a brush finish, I will be replacing the foot pegs with the IMS ones I have currently, just because they're easier to replace with the rear brake off. These are the foot pegs that will be installed. They're IMS Pro Series foot pegs. To remove the foot pegs, there is a simple cotter pin on the back. Sometimes you can rotate the pin by twisting the foot peg. Sometimes it's more difficult than that. The main purpose for me to do this is to get the cotter pin out. From there, the pin simply pushes out of the front. From here, with the new foot peg, the spring simply latches in there, as well as going in this hole here. With way too much effort exerted, the spring is now on the foot peg. The last thing I need to do is put the washer on the bottom, as well as the cotter pin back through. With the foot peg now installed and the rear brake connected back to the return spring on the frame here, I'll go ahead and install the washer that goes behind the foot peg behind the rear brake between the frame and the bolt. From here, I'll install the washer that goes onto the rear side right here, as well as the cotter pin that goes right through the bolt right here. And you want to make sure to bend up either side of that. With that finished, that marks the end of the installation on the rear brake pedal, as well as the installation of the throttle side peg. I still need to go and finish up the other peg on the opposite side. It is the same procedure as this side, so I won't be recording that. With the foot pegs installed and the brake pedal with a new brushed look, I'll be moving on to sanding and filing. With the cast marks removed from the sides that will be visible, I'll now move on to sanding. With 8 hours of filing and sanding between 180 grit and 2000 grit, the Kickstarter and the lower triple is now ready to be polished. The kicker was only sanded up to 1500 grit as it'll be a used item and I don't want to put in the effort for something that's going to get beat on. Whereas the lower triple was sanded all the way to 2000 grit, this is because it'll be more of a beauty item on the bike. Again, the polish I'll be using is Mother's Mag in aluminum. It's the same one I've used on my previous bike, as well as on the IT. Next, you'll see both the Kickstarter and the lower triple polished. With polishing now completed and the parts shiny enough to see your own reflection in it, I'm going to get them prepped to go on the bike, starting with the Kickstarter. For the Kickstarter, I will be simply popping it into place. It's always a little finicky going on. With the bolt that goes onto the Kickstarter to hold it on, I will be using red Loctite on it. This is recommended from factory as well. Just because of the high vibrations in this area, it's known to pop out. I don't want this coming out anytime soon, so I'm going to just simply load that thing up and put it in. With that done, my shiny blinged out Kickstarter is now installed. Next, I'll be installing the lower triple. I will be packing the bearing with grease as from factory. They're pretty dry. I'll do the same thing with the upper one as well. With the bearings on both the lower and upper now packed with grease, I'll be moving on to installation. Using the baggies right there, it was really easy to find my hardware for the lower triple, and this wouldn't be a cool build without some super fancy trick parts from back in the early 2000s. This is the billet aluminum Zeta upper triple tree that I spoke about earlier in the overview. This item is discontinued and you can only order it, I believe, as a full triple instead of just the upper. This has a highly adjustable bar clamp system with, I believe, 8 different settings, as well as just being stronger than OEM. Next, I'll be installing the billet upper triple. Next, I'll finally be installing the forks, as this will give me something to hold the triple in place to be able to tighten down that top nut. With the forks now installed onto the bike, I'm going to move on to installing the fork bleeders right here, as well as putting the fork guards on. For fork bleeders, normally you just need a normal flathead screwdriver, but due to these sitting for so long, the bleeders have become seized, so I will be using an impact driver to get the screw out. And just like that, it's come free. There's some serious pressure in those forks. This is the original bleed screw, which will be replaced by the micro bleeders from Motion Pro. For the installation of the micro bleeder, I'll be starting it by hand. And then from there, using a plastic bag to prevent any scratches and just a simple Phillips head. For this fork bleeder, it'll be the exact same procedure. I will be using the impact driver preemptively just to not strip out this screw. From here, I'll again install the micro bleeder by hand and then tighten it later with a plastic bag. Next, I'll be torquing the head stem nut to 65 foot-pounds per the manual. With that finished, the next thing I'm going to do is throw the bars on, as that'll be the final thing I'll do in this video. The next thing I'll be installing is my new bar pad. This was a wonderful gift from the one and only Kawasaki V. With installation completed, that'll mark the end of episode 6 of the Drz400sm build. If you have any questions, per usual, feel free to ask in the comments or any concerns. Also, if you're wondering about any of the mods I have or what I've done, same thing, feel free to ask. Same as always, thanks for watching and have a good day.